Hey guys, just a short video here, or hopefully short video here, on how to create a special type of delay in which you insert different audio effects to process the feedback network of the delay unit. So rather than just having an echoing back of your sound, each of those echoes is processed in whatever way you want to. So I've got a track here and I'm just going to show you what it sounds like before we apply any of this delay. So I've just got an analog instrument with some saw wave stuff happening on it, monophonic, and then if I start to apply the delay, here's what regular delay would sound like. If I increase the feedback, we can hear just that ongoing echoing back of the sound at whatever time, in this case, 16th note divisions that I've set up for that delay unit to take effect. But what I've done here is rather than using the internal feedback network of delay unit, I'm using an external one which allows me to insert processing onto that delay network or that feedback network, which is going to sound like this. Hear the difference between the two. In one, you just get the same sound over and over again, but when we insert all these effects in the middle, each of those echo backs or echoings back sounds slightly different as it's processed by that sound. Here it is one more time, then we'll build it up. So it's kind of really a unique and special sound. Not something you'd always need, but can be really cool to know how to do. So how is that accomplished? Let's start with new Ableton Live Set, Command N. No need to save, know where I'm going. I'm going to start by just putting an instrument on that track. So let's go to my instruments, analog, drop it on there. Here's the sound. Beautiful. Now let's create some return tracks. Command Option T. I'm going to create two of them. One of them is going to be for my delay, so I'm going to rename it. My delay is going to go on that track. And on the next one over, I'm going to put on my feedback effects. Stretch these out a little bit so we can see the titles. So I'm going to put on that first track, I'm going to put on my delay effect, just going to use the simple delay in this case, drop it on there, set up by like 3 and 5 for the right. Let's leave it fully wet so that all the dry signal is coming from our instrument track and the return tracks are only passing along to the master track their processed signal. So where we're at right now, we've got that sound. As I start to increase the send, get more and more delay in there. But right now it's just delaying back once. Now we're going to use this secondary return track B, as the feedback to return track A. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to enable send B on return track A by right-clicking on it, going to enable send. I'm going to come to return track B. I'm going to enable its send to return A. I'm going to switch the output. If this isn't visible, just come down to the right of the master track. Make sure that your inputs and outputs are displayed. I'm going to set this to sends only. That way this return track B never passes along its output to the master track. So with that enabled, come back over to send B, increase the amount so it's pumping out as much as we can to send A, or send B I should say. So now I've got the signal flow of my instrument, which goes first directly to the master track, giving us the dry signal, and also a full amount is copied and sent to that delay A, which gets delayed by 3 and 5/16 notes, and then passed along to the master track. And then it also passes along to that send B, which right now is going nowhere because it's going to sends only. We haven't apportioned any amount of that signal to go to return A. But as I start to increase that amount, let's just get a repeating note here so we can hear it take effect. There we go. And as I come over to return B, I start to increase the amount of signal that's being sent back to return A. We can hear that it sounds very similar. It's slightly different, but very similar to the same as if I came to delay or return A here and just started increasing the feedback knob on the simple delay. So right now there's not a whole lot of point to this complex of a setup just to get this simple feedback delay network going on here. But what this enables me to do is to insert in between that feedback that goes from A to B and then back to A again. It allows me to insert within that some effects to take place. So at the simplest level, I could just drop onto return B. That's going to be where I put all the effects that I want to process that feedback network. I could just put on there a filter, go grab my EQ8, drop that onto that track, maybe grab a high pass filter and sweep that up, and then when I send in that signal, you can hear those echoing backs are now filtered out of there. Maybe I also insert into that some reverb. And maybe I also insert into that another EQ. That has a Max Relive LFO on it, set to saw up. And now I can use the amount of send back to A to increase the amount of feedback that we have happening on that return network. So there you have it. There's using return tracks to set up a more complex or more processed feedback network within a delay unit. So hopefully this helps you make some pretty cool sounds. Good luck.